All right, this is the next video, and I'm showcasing you some ways of putting more textures on there and so forth. I just want to make sure that you, when you ever get started on texturing, just make sure you have that selected. You know, you can turn all these off. These eye winks, it's just like kind of like a Photoshop. And so when I hit my shift and right, you can see how I can change the color around. And you can change that background setting, panoramic view, and change it to a different color if this isn't bright enough. Again, all we've done is add a fill color, and we've added just a little bit of noise to break up that surface, but we haven't actually added any texture to it. We've just kind of given a rough map here, and then also just a color map here. All right, so we're going to continue on, and we're going to go ahead and click on here, and we're going to go ahead and do another fill, another layer. All right, so you can see this is dominating gray, and for this one we just want the height. So if we go into our properties, and again your properties may be over here, you need to open it up or put in your other monitor if you're so lucky enough to have a monitor. And so I'm going to turn off everything except for height. And you notice when I hit color, it turns off the color. So we could have done a multi or something like that, but we're not interested in color on this one. So we're going to go ahead and create a mask. And I did a right click, add black mask. I'm going to slow this down because the first time we're going to be watching this like 10 times. Like, where the heck did he get that? So add black mask. All right. So I'm going to select that black mask, and we want to add a fill. So you don't do it here. You do it with this little icon right here, add effect. If we did another fill, just add another layer. We don't want that. We want to make sure this is selected, not this, but this, the mask is selected. And so we're going to go ahead and add fill, which looks a lot like this, but isn't. But add fill, and that will add that down here. So make sure this is selected, and we go over to our properties fill. Again, if you don't see it, just bring it up, and we hit gray. And we're going to go ahead and do a procedural. Okay, so we can type in procedural, and it should bring up some stuff. You're going to go ahead and type out as much as you want. And I'm looking for black and white dots. All right, so a lot of these will look similar. Again, I'm almost echoing another tutorial, but again, this is geared towards a dumpster. And so I'm borrowing some attributes, and then we'll add decals and other cool features to this that kind of combining other tutorials into this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit black and white spots. Okay. And you're like, well, there's nothing going on. There's absolutely no dots going on here. Okay, so we do have that, but we want to go back to here, and we're going to add this to, if we go way up, you can see, oh, disgusting. All right, so we want to be very, very subtle when you start off with this. You want to gently add layers, and you definitely want like a good 8 to 12 different layers, but you don't want to add them all at once. You want to gently like paint it on. Think of a master paint project where they do layers upon layers. All right, so I'm just going to go up just a little bit so we can see it. And I'm going to go back into my black and white spot. And I'm just going to play around with the balance. Okay, so we don't want it everywhere. And I think I just want to kind of spot it. All right, and I'm going to go back and look at my imagery, right? And so this is why we took photos. So you can see a lot of it is kind of breaking in. There's surfaces breaking out. And so this is why we're going to do multiple layers. But see that little patina where this was painted on top of? You can start to see a little bit of that, all right? So you're trying to add a little bit, but don't want to be like heavy-handed, because this can look like you know what in it really quickly. So I'm just going to be kind of loose with it. Just kind of go around with the balance. See, just get some bumps started. Again, go to Shift and right-click and oscillate that around. So we already got some good bumping and texturing. See how that light dances across that? So imagine if you had this in a game engine, you're walking across, boom, you got all this amazing texture with no weight. It's all textures. You've got normal map, occlusion, all this stuff is going to do all that weight of like ZBrush, but a tenth of the price, right? All right, so we're going to kind of stop there with that texture. If we look to the bottom here, I think bottoms are really hard to look at with this kind of lighting system. It's kind of challenging, right? So we just kind of spin it around and look at it. All right. So again, don't get too carried away. You can always turn these on and off. You can always go back and play with these. These are procedural, so you're not stuck with these forever. All right. I am trying to talk a little bit louder. I know a couple of students said that they can't hear me, so I'm trying to talk a little bit louder that I'm in my office now, so I can get away with speaking a little bit louder. All right, so we're going to do another layer, and what we're going to do is maybe put it above here. So again, layers are right here. These are effects, so we're going to go ahead and add another fill layer. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. You can see it does a gray again right away. I think this one we do want to make a mask. So right click, add black mask, and you can kind of see it kind of went away. And we select that, and this time we want to make a generator. So I'm going to go ahead and add generator. Okay, got that selected, and notice we got to select which generator we want, right? So it's just like, think of all these layers you can specifically add and add and add on top of the same object. It's amazing. So we're going to go to generator, and what I'm going to look for is a curve one. So I'm going to hit generator, type one in, and then you can actually go over these lines, and I'm looking for a certain one. Okay, I'm going to actually probably use curvature. We could also use dirt. So we just kind of want to grunge up the edges. All right, may go with dirt. Let's do curvature. All right, so you can see my curvature, we've got the color here, and not that great looking yet, but basically it's almost looking like I forgot, ambient bake, okay? So that's kind of what we're going for here, but it's not quite working yet. So we need to go, if you can blur it if you want, pick it hard, where I also do a little bit of balance. Okay, again, we're just trying to dirty up the edges. Curvature, you can open that up. Play around with these. And add a little bit here. Let's invert it. No, we don't want to invert it. All right, so that looks good. Let's try the dirty one. I don't like that one. All right, that one looks a little bit better. And again, you can see how that is. And again, you can invert it, see what that looks like. And dirt level can go down. Okay, dirt contrast, dirt level. All right, we're just trying to dirty up in these little crevices and so forth. So it's kind of like does ambient baking. It's just really cool to do. And we can spot this around, edge masking, play around. Again, don't overdo it. You just kind of want to keep it nice and simple. All right, so I'm going to go back up here. And some of these things I don't want. I don't think I want any height or normal maps with this. We're just actually just wanting to add some color into here. All right, now have it on gray. That's exactly what we don't want. We actually want to mimic some of this blue container, and we want to make it a little bit darker. All right, and you know how to do that. We just click on here, use a spotlight, and I am using the real color here so we can have some sort of palette. And you can see we want to make this a little bit darker. Okay, so it's dirtier, right? Grungier. And so as we get darker, you can really see it. So don't go too dark. Again, subtlety on layers. You want to do it slowly over time. You don't want to go too crazy with it. Again, we want to see what this looks like. And you see when I roll over, you can see all that beautiful UV mapping right below this. You can see all that UV mapping that we did in Maya. Boom, there it is. It's really exciting that you see your hard work turn up in another program. So we're going to go in here, and I think we hit Control and left mouse button. Oh, let's try that again. Shift. Basically, I'm trying to show, let's try it again. Okay, so it's Option and left mouse button. And if I roll over here, I can hit M to go back to the matte painting. I'm gonna roll over this, and again, Option and left mouse button. And that'll show that masking that we just did, which really looks like basically ambient occlusion, right? So if we bake that out in Arnold or something like that, we did an ambient occlusion. So the inside is really bright white, which I'm not sure if I really like that, but anyways, we can go over that. We can hold Shift and our right, and we can see that little bit of greenness and dark. Now, if I turn on the eye wink, you can see it's dirtying it up, okay? So it's baking in grime in between there. Again, if we go back to our images, you can see a little bit of that darkness. Some of that obviously is sunshine, but a lot of it is like just dirt kind of being packed in there. All right, so far we've added like real textures to it. It's a little heavy-handed, I have to say, but it's giving us some textures. We have the patina of that first layer that we did, kind of break up that surface with the sunshine or the light that we're passing over it. And also we've done a dirt kind of a fill in here. All right, so now the second thing I want to do is, or the third thing I want to do is go ahead and add another fill color. I want this not just as one color, but we can do another color. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a new layer. And you see it's gray. We don't want any height. We don't want any normals. I'm just going to keep color, rough, and metal. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and click on here. And I'm going to go a little bit lighter on this. Not gonna lie, I think it's a little dark. Again, you just gotta keep going back and forth to your image of what you want. All right, so we have a color here, and it's dominating this bottom one. So we're gonna go right click and add a mask, right? And we wanna add a fill to that. So again, you wanna add a mask, but inside here, this is how you add a micro level. So we're going to go add fill, and we're going to go to the grayscale. And for this one, I wanted to do a grunge, and you'll get to learn these different names, and they're all in the Untitled. You can look at different textures and so forth. So I'm going to do grunge, and you can roll over them and they'll pop up, and just give it a little bit of time. And grunge old concrete. So I'm going to click on that. Again, I'm borrowing from other tutorials, but that's fine. This is working for our project. So we have dirty old and grunge, and this color looks very similar to this one. So I'm going to lighten it up. Go over here, double click it, and you can just pull it up. Okay. So it looks way off. So I'm going to kind of go, again, you want to be subtle. You don't want to like overdo this, okay? And we can either go normal, we can either go multi, and kind of layer on top of each other. So you can kind of get this stippling effect. Again, hold your shift and go over it. It's a little heavy. I'm going to go ahead and knock this down. I really want that bottom color to shine through, but I do want to show kind of this multi-pass of how that light is hitting that metal, coming back out, and showing different patinas of color. Again, you can turn on and off your eye wink to see what you have done. All right, I think that bumpiness is way out of control. So I'm going to go back to that. I forget which one that is. Let's see. Okay, so it's this one. I'm going to go to the height map here. Try to dial it in. You can do it numerically too. All right, so I dial it back just a little bit. I think it looks a little bit better. I think it's really rough on here. So you don't want it to look like it's scarring too much. You just want to kind of break it up. And we're going to go a little bit crazy with like the rust in a second. But this is just that surface of that patina that we were talking about earlier, like here, that little bump and bump out. So we don't want to go too crazy. We want to make sure this is somewhat believable, right? So I'm going to stop there. And again, right click, shift, and you can kind of zoom around and look at it. Let's see what the inside looks like. All right, it's a lot of dark. I think that edging that I did earlier just turned that all black, which is fine. We're going to have a lid on top of this. It's going to look all right. So let's go ahead and put our lids back on, see what it looks like with a solid white. All right, so we have a little bit of drop shadow coming in, and I'm just going to zoom it around. And if you're working on a laptop like me, I always have to kind of turn on the brightness and contrast on the monitor, make sure it's fully bright so you can kind of see these subtleties. If it starts getting dim, it's really hard to see this. So I had to just turn mine up really quickly because it's really subtle. All right, that's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty photorealistic, and this is all procedural. We haven't even started working on little details like tagging or those images that we saw on there for like warning and what not to put into a garbage dumpster. So I'm going to stop there. On the next one, we're going to just keep adding more and more layers, and then hopefully on the next two, we will get into putting on stamps and stuff like that. All right, so good luck, and make sure you save.